The big question here, will they show up and shine, and will BDS be able to continue their streak that they have shown in the European League? Bands coming through first though, Hibana to be out from the space station site to start us off. Of course, if you're thinking about it, hatches, for example, might become a little bit more difficult. Now, hatches are not the driving force in a map like Cafe, but it is still going to be a lot of versatility gone out of the hands of the attackers. Thatcher being removed as well is going to be making sure that Hub just have a little bit of a tougher time to get through. The mirror is not a band that is too odd to see as well on a map like Cafe. And last one, well, maybe an Azami to come through. There we go.
Way, look at you with the ability to look at 3 seconds into the future. What are you going to do with this power?
Absolutely nothing. Continue casting.
Okay, cool. All right. So, as this sort of said, this is the middle of the day. This is the final time we'll get a first taste of any of these teams. And, you know, it's been a bit hit and miss for EU throughout the day so far. I'm not going to entirely read results for those that may be watching VODs and want to catch up, but the games that have already taken place have not been fantastic.
No, it's a bit hit and miss. I think only Latam are the big winners here so far. And APAC, of course, unfortunately losing, as the lower third in the pre-show was kind of making fun of at that point.
Yeah, that's mean.
All players are cracked until they aren't. Either way, top floor is starting us off here with BDS in the attack and Space Station on that defense. Now BDS, they've played this map plenty of times, and we've seen it plenty of times. And that experience tells me that, of course, as per usual, as any other team does, is that the approach through piano is going to be the main one, right? You're going to have the majority of the players going through Cigar, having to go them through piano, see if they're going to be able to put up a bit of pressure that way. But we might have a bit of an alt factor. That is going to be Leakefak. On that Nuck, has the opportunity to just sneak around, not be spotted out by any of these cameras, and see if we can find an entry somewhere else.
Starting themselves on the top floor. A bit of pressure there onto that sort of garage door there and give themselves a route through. The Nook can play surprise gifts. Grenades lobbed from underneath. Not as powerful as they once were, but can still cause a problem if you can get into library and give yourself a bit of a stretch unchecked. That's what Leakefak's just trying to prod and pressure. And SSG will be well aware of this. They'll make sure that there's at least a response, whether it's one driven by intel or not. Here is the first step through. And there is a player that's actually stepped underneath. They've taken this moment, dropped themselves down, and if that goes unchecked and undroned underneath, that could be a strike here early on. Leakefak, he's going to slowly crouch around Zulu. Rampy is the one, as I said, that dropped himself down. He heard the early break at the bottom of white.
And that's it, right? Like, the majority of BDS is going to be trying to find themselves a way into the site, whereas Leakefak is allowed to go on a roam, go on a bit of a check on his own, trying to see if he can find himself an opportunity to find an entry kill. And Rampy now going outside from the garage door. He might find the very first as he takes down Alems. And that is definitely going to be alerting Leakefak to try and catch him off on the rotation.
There it is, a missed moment and a missed player there. They thought they'd droned it all out. Leakefak is going to creep his way up through the barb. There's a knife on it. Hot and cold. He's going to see if he can try and get a strike round. Leakefak pulls back. Wanted to bait the fight below him. I assume these two will swing at the same time. SSG, they have an awareness a player was around this situation. If they want to take the fight, they can do it whenever they want. Are you aware, Leakefak?
Oh,
he still wins it out just.
Now, hoping to push back up onto the wide stairs there. He's going to be using a bit of utility Breed, going for a bit of a distraction move as well. Hot and cold has been thrown out. Moves back up to the top of the wide stairs. Is going to be pressured by that window as well. Knows someone was out there, but Leakefak is going for a rotation. He's not going to be sticking around. He's going to go towards red. See if he can find a different avenue in as well. As the rest of BDS is, well, collecting themselves up at the top floor to see if they can go for a collective jump in.
30 seconds, they're just seeing another sliver of a play around towards the side of Lumber and Wood. That rotate that's cut off. With 90 control still in their favor, it's going to have to be this. Shaiko takes the hot drop, pre-fires the angle, can't lock it out because Fultz gets the first. There's Shaiko getting one back as Hot and Cold does the difference. There's Yeti with the control of 90. Shaiko, one and one more. Suddenly a 1 versus 1, but it's all locked out. He can't find his way through. They're locked around on the corner, 5 seconds. The swing onto the corner. They just pull themselves back into the bathroom and he cannot make it!
That was way too close for comfort there. I mean, they did the right thing on SSG, right? Trying to get out, trying to find himself a safe spot, but Shaika just running for it. Almost getting him down. A close first round to start us off, but Space Station is going to be the one that takes it. And with that, they are in charge. Bottom floor up next. It's going to be the kitchen, service and cooking area. As BDS will have to recover themselves from that early loss.
Came down to the wire, but it was slow on the approach. I sort of highlighted the, lean in there with Liquefact. They wanted to try and get the catch. They lost that early engagement against the Lems because of one corner and one pocket unchecked. Hey, where have we seen that? In the previous game that you and I casted here on the A stream, those little pocket players being massive surprise and destruction factors in the first round, being a bit of a victim towards it. Here, Shaiko, I mean, he almost bit back huge. You could see just sort of lent in one after another, took the fights on the intel that they'd spent so much time putting together. And that action at the end of inaction is the one where another 2 seconds, maybe if he didn't think he had to swing it with the pistol, could have been different. It wasn't, though. Yeti, he did what he needed to do.
That's the player, by the way, that for the first time in his career, after 7 stages, has not been able to reach 100 kills.
Yep.
So he's trying to make up for it in this very first game. Instantly dropping 3 in that first round shows that he is still very lethal if you give him the opportunity to. And now a small extension into the cupcake bar area. Yeti has a shield towards Wedding, needing to make sure that that is going to be safe. The rest of BDS not really looking to put some early pressure down onto that basement, onto the ground floor. You want to take that top floor first and work themselves towards the first, use the verticality that could be made by Renshiro, but also the breaching charges, of course, in the pockets of Lems to truly dislocate the members of Space Station Gaming. Open up that side a little bit, create some opportunities to go for a plant later on. But as Rampy just has been spotted out and Lems has taken tons of damage. Entry kill for Lems anyway.
There was almost a flirt of danger on the second swing. The bullets lead on the corner, but they're not going to risk it as of yet. Rampy still has a position and a place to play here, and with the shield and support structure they've set up, they don't want to entirely give this as a place where 2 bodies have fallen without even stressing that part of the hold. Sure, they're not directly holding it, but it at least gives the idea they've got to waste some time. You can see it pinged as clearly as I can on the middle of the screen. BDS is a focus to play, and time was punishment on the previous round. Otherwise, SSG, they've generally tucked themselves back round. They have the swing round onto coat check. They still have themselves locked towards the side of Bakery and keeping an eye on a locked down window. BDS seem to be eyeing up all the pressure onto the back end for now.
Now, Rampy, of course, playing with that Valkyrie, has put out some of these black eyes, potentially on this top floor as well. Some are already being spotted out, but that's, of course, to guide any nitro cells up as Renshiro is starting to open up. He's the only soft breach operator that they carry with them, aside from Lems using these breaching charges, of course. So taking out Lems early before he does too much damage to the verticality would have been huge, but the nitro gets used to try and take the fight with a VIP player instead.
There it is. Oh, Shaiko predicted the swing of Hot on there from the walk-in and gets the second onto Rampy's head as well. 50 seconds and a 5 versus 2. Yeti, he's caught out and almost removed from the round. He's tucked onto a side, but beams Shaiko from the far end and buys a bit of time and space back for SSG. Bosco, he's doing everything he can, tucked around onto the side of the chassis and the hefty protection it offers with a shotgun locked and no more smoke canisters. He's just got to hope 30 seconds starts to go his way. But BDS, they've been mounting pressure onto this side before. They've got the drop and the swing. Bosco has to time this perfectly to try and isolate the 2 1 versus 1s. They seem to not want to take this route round on the door, and that's fair enough when a shotgun's on the back end. Yeti gets dropped. Bride with the kit is just going to try and stick the plant. There's a bulletproof, but it doesn't quite catch Liquefact. BDS respond with a round of their own.
Well done there by BDS, equalizing that scoreline. But again, Shaiko given the opportunity to just rack up those kills. Like, they knew he was in VIP. They used that nitro cell to try and push him back a little bit, maybe even catch him off guard as a result. But they give him 2 1v1s, and he takes them down both as well before he was shut down by Yeti, really giving him a taste of his own medicine there with a shot like that. But it's 1-1, and BDS opening up with a double entry like that, for sure, they're not going to be losing that round. They thrive in those situations. That's why Liquefact and Shaiko is so important. As I said, really a taste of his own medicine. That would be a Shaiko shot.
Honestly,
any other day.
There's those moments where obviously we watch a lot of Siege. We play a lot of Siege.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, maybe I could have a go at one point. Maybe I could. And then you see a shot like that. I didn't even see the man. I didn't even see Shaiko on the far end. And you're like, oh yeah, that built diff. 1-1, and it's exactly sort of what I wanted. You need these big gun players to have a big gun game here. I wanted Yeti to hit the boards running. I wanted that full NA fury that he's been able to bring the heat over on the local league. The same way I want that from Likefek and I want that from Shaiko. This is two big teams. It's two behemoths of Rainbow Six Siege competitive. It's like Godzilla versus King Kong. You want to see them just slog it out.
I really know Salty or Bartosz is going to have a really good time trying to edit. It's a post-game graphic. Either way, I agree. You want to see these big players pop off, but you want to see the players that might normally take a little bit of a backseat pop off as well. You want just everybody to be firing on all cylinders here. Well, Shaiko is definitely doing that so far for BDS. It shows in that one round they've managed to pick up as well. There's now drones being stucked out by any of the new jammers that have been placed. So the information game is slowly being halted here for BDS. They need to find a way around it. And for now, they're just securing their own flanks, putting down some claymores, giving themselves some extra security as the time ticks down. A minute has passed. Again, the top slowly being taken under control here. RC terrorists coming through to stop any rotation. But Yeti, with the first onto Shaiko, is going to be a very important kill.
Here it is now, a little bit of a hold, a little bit of a break ground. They're trying to find the crack over the top onto Whiskey. They're trying to get this clarity, and with that early body gone, Shaiko's been a big blood leader. It's time for the other players of BDS to see if they can step into the gun game that has otherwise been filled by a player either side. Alems, he's getting himself sprayed through onto pillars. He's opening up an angle, but the player just rotates off, throwing a bit too short.
Both of them, like one by one eye disc and the other one just too short. So that hatch is going to be staying closed now. That is going to be a big slip up there from Brede. Very uncharacteristic. He is one of those like go-to support players. If you ever have to pick one for your team, he is one of the best in his own league. And well, that mistake might cost them later on. The hatch is not going to be accessible. They need to be focusing more on the vertical gunplay instead this case.
Now, with that, the crack over the top and 50 seconds left. They're seeing if they can try and get a threat onto the players. Bosco tucks himself into a pretty dangerous corner here. He's holding a little bit of safety and instead going to go even more dangerous. Gets it rotate out, unchecked towards Zulu and via back towards Dining. It puts a lot of pressure now onto that site, but it's a tough one to get in. You've got to get that vertical lockdown. You've got to have these tight angles. Hot is watching across all the way through the two sites and gets an easy pick onto Brede. An angle that was pressured and pushed across. There's a response from Alems. Just tucks himself in, wants to get that kit and thinks he can get behind the chassis. Saw the edge of a player a second too late. There it is, sprayed from pillars, tucks down, and Likefak's able to find one. Yeti and Rampy find one back apiece. It's just Renshiro left, and he's trying to fight his way down red stairs. Yeti with the end of it.
Well done there by Space Station Gaming. Again, the early kill from Yeti onto Shaiko really took out the spearhead from the attack that they wanted to go for on the BDS side. And after that, Brede being, well, punished for jumping through that window with a long angle doesn't really help either. Diffuser gets dropped. You need to recover that. You basically see the entire BDS hold trying to get back onto that diffuser, stop the players of SSG coming around the corner to shut him down. But it was already lost way earlier, and I think that the hatch that they weren't able to open up, that basically took away a drop opportunity as well, really hurt them there. So, small slip-ups early on for BDS, whereas SSG's able to punish them for it. Would like to continue that way as well.
BDS, well, is this going to turn into a bit of a back and forth here? We're back towards Bar, the site where the only reason it became close was because Shaiko pulled off a triple kill in the last dying seconds and couldn't find the last man. Yeti has been consistently a problem for Shaiko, and that's the third round in a row. He's been the man that stops Shaiko. It wasn't enough in the middle, but in the first and the third it has been. Will it be just these two hitting heads the whole tournament?
Big question. But for now, Yeti seems to be the kryptonite against Shaiko. Will that continue? TCSG to be used by him there. Big slug shotgun, suppressor on it as well. Of course, no more damage drop-off since the latest rework to the muzzle attachments. Makes it a viable option, and we've seen it quite a bit on some of these guns. Frontier also using it on the L85. The best thing is no tracers, of course, so if you miss your shots a little bit, there's no instant flick coming back on you. Drones coming through. RC Rotero seeing if they can take out some of that early utility, open up the castle barricades maybe as well to provide themselves with a little bit of security. Oh, that's the instant shield taken out. Well done. Not paying attention there on Pixel. It's going to cost them.
Drones finding their way around. They've been able to, as you said, lock down Pixel, the thing that was the big problem for them last time round, because they hadn't done any work here. They just tried to throw themselves in a bit of a guttural fight up the stairs itself, and from that point onwards, SSG's hold was generally uncontested. As I said, it was heroics that made it close, but it hasn't really been anywhere else outside of that. They've got themselves tucked onto Cigar. They're putting attention towards what you would say is a more default take.
As a more default take, and as I said, often revolves around taking control of the piano, then trying to see if you can push through. Hot and Cold is currently using the Super Shorty, though, to try and stop anybody from moving through the Pixel door into the wide hallway. It's not the best shotgun to use anti-personnel, but on that close of a range will still one-shot if you do manage to hit most of the pallets, so that is what he's trying to bank on here.
Shaiko, he's looking for the lead and fight, just sees the edge of the player playing around the heaven window. They're still locked in, still comfortable, but there's still some damage and destruction done here by BDS. They're looking to try and get a catch on a player, and SSG is actually biting back. Yeti holding himself around Pillar, waiting to see if anyone wants to go for the swing onto the back of red stairs. Alem's stepping all the way up towards the site. It's Fultz and Shaiko that find one apiece. Ranchiro's caught right in the middle of it. Shaiko stepped up directly onto the door. You can see the pressure from Likafak on the far end. It's going to see if they can try and win out here. The player is low down and doesn't quite know, so he's not confident enough to go for the full swing. There's one more for Shaiko right inside the site. Predate's going to see if he can stick it the swing round, and Shaiko still a problem. And it is back and forth, and it is once again Shaiko being the drive.
Really opening up the site there, right? And, you know, there's multiple opportunities to open the site. Sometimes you see grenades thrown through, they get a kill. Sometimes you just see someone like Shaiko walking in, finding the heads as he goes through, because he's literally done this a million times before, right?
Oh, yeah.
He knows exactly where all these heads are going to be popping up. This is just all muscle memory for him. He walks by, pre-fires all these spots, or reacts super quickly, and there's just nothing you can do against it if you are an SSG defender, rather than, well, hopefully go for a bit of a crossfire at that point. Try and bait him into it, but those weren't there at the moment in time. And BDS able to find their second round. We're having a bit of back and forth. The first time, actually, on the A stream, I believe, today, that we have that, because they've all been blowouts so far.
Yeah, it's
good to see.
It's generally been a little bit weighted. For teams, we've had 2 8-round results. And yeah, you want to see an engagement. You want to see it from these two teams. It's fun that the two players on the top left and the top right are just coming to blows. You know, it turns into one of those games where a lot of weight and a lot of pressure gets put onto this trade game that Yeti is still on top of and has been a bit of a lead in here. But if anything, that's more pressure now onto Yeti. He knows that if Shaiko will do Shaiko things, he's got to do Yeti things, and vice versa.
Yeah, they have really been pushing one another here, going head-to-head as well many times before. There's Likafak on that lurk roll. Like, this, what Shaiko is doing, is normally been his role ever since he joined the roster of BDS, creating these openings on the lurk, seeing if there is an opportunity he can spot for the rest of the team to use. Whereas Likafak has been, well, only with 3 kills so far. It's Shaiko that has really been the driving factor so far. Grenade goes through, will not be finding anybody, but will definitely give away his position. Hotton instantly responds, takes the entry kill as well. Elems gets shut down by Yeti. Rampy will find Ranchiro, and so the entirety of BDS just falls apart, leaving it only to Brede and Shaiko to see if they can still salvage this round.
Now Shaiko, he's got to see if he can try and do, once again, Shaiko things. He's caught in a spray, able to find Yeti. Somehow in and amongst the chaos, watched by a bulletproof on the back end. There is still 2 more players and a default still up, and it took most of his health. That is at least something that they can go with. 2 grenades and a lot of time left for the 2 remaining French players, but there's 4 Americans. More than happy to try and slow any more of an approach that they make. They have everything pretty much watched. It's a dangerous gambit at this point when you're at this much of a sort of man disadvantage is you're looking at a lot of drop-down territory. You're looking at a lot of swing chances, opportunities for there to be an SSG player tucked into a corner that takes more than 2 to clear.
Now there is going to be a pole still on the board as well, and Bosco is going to be giving away at least one. That's 2 heartbeats, so they can truly all the way play themselves around it. Now they know exactly where they're going to be coming from, and as Schalke's hoping to find another head, they are slowly repositioning around his position as well. Grenades are coming through, but I don't think they'll catch anything. Oh, actually finds Rampy, brings it back to a 2 and 3. BDS finds himself into a gunfight as well, but with 50 seconds they need to make a move as Bosco takes down Shaiko. It's up to BDS now in that clutch situation. Is he going to make it? Uses a Selma to open up his opportunities a bit more, but it's still a player up on the top floor that could drop down on him from any given moment. BDS finds one, jumps through the rotation he made earlier, now finds himself in the middle of the site, is pushing down on that diffuser, but walks back into hot and cold, and that is going to be the lockout to come through. SSG will find themselves again in the lead.
Well, again, another left click, getting a little bit stuck there.
Happens a lot.
It happens.
Might be the build.
It happens from time to time. I don't want to alarm anybody.
Okay.
Okay, I guess this was only alarming you. I don't want to alarm you.
Now I'm alarmed, yes.
I'm not going to say specifically how the rest of it went.
Okay.
Cover your ears if you don't want scores from the previous game.
Well.
3, 2, 1.
Wait, that's over already?
Heroic versus TSM opened with 2 versus 2. No, this isn't a thing. This is Heroic versus TSM opened back and forth, and then TSM took control of the game.
Uh-huh.
That is this moment right now where BDS have to try and match the pace, because you can have a sort of back and forth first half, but it's the story of 2 halves. It's a game of 2 halves, and I don't think we'll get a true taste until we get onto the second. For all my excitement of 2 big players leading this game, you also need more to step in. You need to have a little bit more behind it. It cannot just be a 1 versus 1 with 8 other people superfluous to it. And yeah, they've not been entirely adrift, but when you've got, what, 17 kills between 2 players across the whole server, everyone else gets close to that number.
Yeah, they might actually add up to something around that.
18.
18. Okay, well, so it's almost
a difference of 1.
It's a difference of 1 between 8 players and 2.
And that's the thing. You need to have in a game like this a little bit more of a width. It's cafe. It's intricate. There's a lot going on and a lot of clearance. Sure, it's a team-driven game always, but if one more player can start to make a connection on either of these 2 teams, that could really dictate how this starts to piece together.
Yeti playing in a bit of a power position in Cupcake. If they manage to remove him, then that is going to be that power player gone off the board with a lot of potential to clutch out. But it seems like more pressure is actually given towards Houghton, who is playing in VIP. We saw that last time around. Shaka took control of it, managed to find 2 kills on the back of it. So they might want to go for a bit of a repeat here onto that kitchen, which was, of course, the first round that BDS managed to win. For now, it's all just droning, making sure that none of these windows will be utilized by the defenders for jump outs or bits of pressure. As that is going to be I believe that as a breaching charge eaten up. It's Shaiko that finds the first kill again. That's Yeti gone from the Cupcake bar.
Well, Houghton's going to see if he can just hold on with his magical spectacles, and the pressure's coming from pretty much every single side. So where is going to be the boiling point at this point? They've got to try and drive him out. Rampy's offering some semblance of support on the back end, so they can't just hop in and try and put that direct pressure around. This grenade over the top doesn't quite land far enough. The fire does start to cook and forces the position, but Bosco wins it out, and Houghton wins in Bosco as well. It's all coming up SSG for a second. Liquefact does get 1. But now on the side of a softy, just misses the tail end of a retreating player. Look at the rotation over the top, though.
Liquefact was also needed to take control of the bakery at the same time, but he was kind of stuck between the player in Harry Potter and also that player in Wedding. Regrouping themselves. BDS, though, that should have been a kill for Liquefact if they wanted to have an opportunity of the round win, but it's Fultz that takes it into his own hands. A quick headshot to dispatch the new rookie star player from BDS. He's only up to Rinshiro. He's only had a single connection so far in this game. Now he needs to find 3 to clutch out the round and equalize this half. So BDS has a bit of a better fighting chance. 30 seconds, counting down. Needs to be cutting these angles very carefully. If he oversteps, he's walking right into a crossfire here. As he doesn't miss the first, he misses the second one as well. Takes a little bit of damage and he's pushed back with 15 seconds to go.
15 seconds, and, well, they're not giving him anything. Little tastes, little nibbles, but an end of an SSG round there. Very well put together at the start of that. I said I wanted to see more from the rest of the board, and that round, I mean, only one kill went to the two players that have generally dominated that game. We did see that step up. We did see that even hand swing, and we saw it from the side of SSG. A team for the first time that's been able to thread 2 rounds together. They get themselves that bonus. Heading in over to their attacks here, BDS, this is a very important round for them.
Now, Shoko did take out Yeti early on, who was playing in the bakery next to, you know, the flip closet and the shield that was aimed towards Wedding. However, there was a second player that dug himself in deep behind. Now, the grenade did pop out the fire, but unfortunately, Shoko was punished as he forced the player out. And there was no quick retreat or no quick response coming out from BDS, basically resulting in the entire bakery push to fall apart. Similarly, like at the same time that happened, we had 2 players pushing from the garage, but also they did not find any success towards VIP, which was, of course, a massive success point the last time around they were in that kitchen. So again, small mistakes or small misplays happening on the BDS side, which Space Station perfectly managed to, well, counter in that case, which led them to that round. But now everything has swapped. We're onto the defense. BDS now has the opportunity to craft the puzzle that needs to be solved by Space Station. Let's see what kind of puzzle it will become.
All right, BDS, as I said, a lot of importance here in SSG. Let's see what the takes start to cook with. Candela's on the board in the pockets of Houghton. They're getting themselves prepped, as you always do. You assume towards that opposite side. Liquefact suffers a bit of a scrape and a fight via windows and a spray through. He's going to give himself some options and cause some problems. Alems is dancing around a window, has a shield and a pretty big setup here inside the bathroom. There's not too many places to escape. That's the risk right now. He has got to be tuned to 11 in terms of awareness on where SSG is going to try and swing from, because there's a lot of options, a lot of windows, and a lot of angles that they can try and exploit here.
I'm just holding that window tightly, making sure that piano stays in the lock and key just a little bit longer. However, there is going to be a player repelled up there now, so he needs to be a bit careful. Hold a very tight angle. Give yourself every advantage you can give. And as the breaches already come through in the double wall on the top of red, Space Station will have another way into the piano. But again, that pixel player, Alems, sitting out there is going to be the true worrisome factor as he gets his first kill into Bosco.
Now they're tucked around on the swing. They're going to see if they can try and put that pressure further and further and deeper towards that back line. It does open up these angles. As soon as that position has fallen now, they've still got some concern and awareness the swing will come through. They know BDS are very good at this game, but it allows Yeti to do this. The slow creep up as Houghton's ready to apply some pressure from those Candelas over the top. Fultz has got himself tucked just round on the corner of Cigar. They want to see if they can put some pressure onto that back line of BDS on the end. Liquefact is still in a position to try and catch. Whether the catch is one that comes around that loose or not is the big problem. They've pulled themselves back, they've got themselves held off, and SSG is just trying to tuck in towards an approach here.
That's all they can do for now. They just need to group up. They need to, you know, get a plan ready to go. And to be fair, Yeti does have an opportunity to just jump through here, I believe, and find himself in the middle of the freezer. So that might be what they need to go for.
Rampy trying to make an approach. You can see Yeti's trying to bait the swing onto White with the smoke. He's hoping somebody leans in and they get the early lead through the Candelas. The ping on the roll, the push and the pressure. They're saying plant here. 30 seconds. They'll be blind. Just drive through. Liquefact finds Fultz though, and Rampy, he's going to see if he can do exactly that. Right on the ping, right on the money and the mark. And there's Yeti getting the drop onto one. Cannot find the Lems on the second. Brede gets it down, but Houghton drops round. It's technically a 4 versus 1. There's a loose play around the pre-fire. They'll give the game away on the approach. They're holding right, and he's able to win it out. That is BDS locking it down. It's a technical flawless.
It's a flawless. I mean, no.
Bit of player on the ground.
I mean, that happens every now and then.
It was a Yeti Shaiko incident as well.
It was.
Another one.
Just keep having those.
Yeah.
As they keep butting heads against one another, BDS leaning back into it. You know, they lost 2 rounds in a row for the first time. Now it's tasked to them to try and find 2 themselves so they can equalize that scoreline on their defense against Space Station. Round 8, we are headed towards the ground floor, towards the kitchen. which the first time when BDS attacked it was successful due to, again, Shaiko finding the success in VIP, opening up by taking out those heads. They need to make sure that that doesn't happen against them. Shaiko will be playing onto that Warden, so I have a feeling he will be playing a power position. Now, that can either be VIP or the bakery, depending on where they think most utility will be used. So he can still lean back into that fight. Just trying to figure out which one it will be. For now, I think it is going to be VIP. Or at least the VIP area, because there's no shield set up there. There's also, you know, no magnets on the board. There's no ADSs, so you don't really want to be limiting yourself to a single room because you're going to be very prone to explosives to be tossed your way.
Will they get lucky? As the gamer and Shira is playing here. LM's is playing it too, apparently, and takes care of faults, apparently. That's Cafe, and it can be vicious. They lose the Flores. They lose maybe their best lead-in against some of the holds here around Kitchen. You got to think of the extension towards, obviously, Cocktail on the back end. You got to think of all the intricacies that might be placed around Bakery and what a Flores can do here. Now you got to think of a Monty that's going to have to try and be the cover onto that instead. It's a tall hold. They're sort of flirting with the idea of danger because you've got to do that raindrop clear. You've got to start from the top and pitter-patter your way down across the floors to see if you want to do a full bit of clarity, and that's the extension. That's the game that they're forcing here across the board with one body gone and a minute as well.
Oh,
all that is perfect.
They knew exactly who was playing right underneath the skylight there. That grenade was perfectly tossed towards Leak of Fact. They shut him down. And even though there is a yokai, or was a yokai, to provide some support, it doesn't matter if a grenade like that lands on top of you. So a quick retrieve from Space Station Gaming as they equalize the man count again. Now they can continue towards their quest and journey of taking that second floor under control, so they can, you know, get some verticality going, at least force them off the actual side itself, and maybe see if there is an entrance to be gained.
Lems, he's looking for a spray round. He's looking to see if he can just, again, apply more of that pressure, make them keep guessing. They want to waste time, and they want to make sure that SSG aren't confident to put the pressure on, but they play plants so well. We saw the pings. We saw that clarity towards the objective, rocked and rolled in the previous round. They know how to drive themselves towards the site itself. They just generally hope they win the fights on the way through. BDS, they tuck themselves in. Tail down, waiting, ears up for the approach that might start to come through. It's still the double down onto soft, but as I said, the drive cannot be against the utility flat front. It's going to be a brawl.
Now, Shaiko's playing in Code Jack right now with a 1.5 on the... Oh, actually, he just went up to the red stairs. But I was going to say, he might be trying to utilize these long angles here as drops might be coming through soon. You see it from Hot and Cold. The first one to come through takes a small amount of damage, actually, from the VIP player who's thinking about going up the white stairs because the Monty just made it through. Monty does have the diffuser in pocket. He might be wanting to go for a bit of a plant here.
Echo might be the difference maker right now. If they've still got a drone keenly aware towards that Monty and it seems like they want to set it up for it, they're ready to go for the strike. Bosco gets caught out. In the meantime, it makes the game of that Monty a lot more isolating. There's a spray through and one more vertical gone. Oh no, Hon! He's able to be the difference maker. They've now got a drop to support. They cannot get Yeti up. They're all out of time. Hopped over the wall, a massive risk that did not pay off, but Alems, he's round on the back line, gets the kit, gets the plant, gets stuck down, gets the round.
Well done there. The stun coming through to stop and reset that plant. Could have been a difference maker there, because if you're in a post plant and there is a Monty on the board, that is going to be very tough to win as a defender. So well done. Timeout being called as well. BDS have brought it back towards a 4-4 even score. And even though not all of the moves that BDS went for stuck, they still managed to get the round win in the end.
Still a brawl.
Thinking it was still a brawl on the side, don't get me wrong.
It always had to be. As soon as the Flores was the first gone, they couldn't really long-arm anything at that point. You had to look at what they had in their pockets. They could control what sort of came behind them with the Nomad, with the air jabs. They could control what was directly in front of them with the grenades and with the usage of Monty. They could not do any range structure and demolition, and as you hear those little fun 5-second beeps, we are popping back into the round. Yes. SSG, the first team to take a timeout. The first half went according to plan to BDS. They're going to see if they can try and, I guess, keep that French train rolling. Ubisoft, the entirety of Ubisoft here just went, oh.
That's not how you say it. But, yeah. But thinking back about it as well, the way that BDS had set up the freezer, it was completely reinforced off. There was no way back in. So basically, if they did manage to keep someone inside freezer and they did have someone up on the top floor to make sure LMs wasn't able to drop through, that would have been a successful round for Space Station with the Monty being in the place it was, because then the cover could have been on point. Either way, that's what could have was shoot it. And we're 4-4, and we are headed towards the reading room. A slight change compared to what we saw from Space Station. Space Station ran the mining first to play with. We're successful there as well. Now BDS not opting to go there, will instead go to reading and thus put up a very heavy top floor hold to see if they can stall out as much and as long as they possibly can.
4-4, and reading is where they might break that difference here. We had 2 rounds threaded together just before the turn of the half. We've had 2 after. Will it be the perfect rotation for the first time out of either of these 2 teams? SSG, they've had the conversation, they've had the team talk, the halftime oranges, and they'll see if they can try and turn that good citrus into something. That's a very English reference.
Yeah, I'm not English, I don't get it.
No, neither do all the Americans and probably the French for Sunday League, come on. But it's still now the moment where SSG can try and be the driving factor on this. They can see if they can set themselves up a little bit of that pressure. As I said, they're fantastic at playing the objective. They're fantastic at getting into the site drive. Maybe a little bit more of that rather than sort of entrusting themselves into the gun game could be that difference.
Well, Space Station is a very objective-focused team, whereas BDS really likes to go for a bit of a brawl here and there, and that might actually clash a bit more than they wanted to. BDS has been able to find 2 in a row. The fire has gone off. The opening into piano has been made, but that is only the first steps of this top floor control. They want to have Cocktail under their own hands in SSG, because that's where you want to open up vertically to actually get some vision onto the site. And Fultz is trying to take that into his own hands right now.
Oh, Fultz, how sneaky is he? Sneaky enough. Gets 1, gets the second, and that is a huge lead in for the Nook. There was one coming up brown stairs that they just missed. Alems is able to at least get a bit of postpartum revenge here. Pops the fire and pulls himself further back down. He knows he cannot risk this situation. They're gonna see if they can thread at least one more. There it is, the kit round on the back. Nobody watching onto the white window, and a huge play from a player who you really wanted to step in for the BDS roster for a long time. I sort of said, remember a few rounds ago, where's the gun game from the others? Since then, that pair has only gotten 2 kills and everybody else has come alive.
Only as LMs managed to pick up the kill, then the window on white was going to be pressured by the side of Space Station. A crucial mistake. You need to have that open up to prevent these kind of plays from happening. Now LM's fallen back towards the bottom of the brown stairs, still wanting to play on these balconies, hoping to pick up any of these players if they do go for a hop over or even just a bit of flank watch. Now, Rampy Yadi up above, looking to find some verticality, but the BDS players have already pulled back. They do not want to be on the site right now, and that is, of course, rightfully so. It is going to be way too dangerous as the player creeps back up on the white stair. Brede is going to be playing that with the shotgun with 10 seconds left on the clock.
He's not being quiet. He doesn't have to be. There's 10 seconds. He wants to bait the engagement because he trusts the shotgun. There's the kit cold once again. French Vengeance has struck twice in a row. 2 rounds of LM's taken down the planter, and SSG stumble once again. 5-4. BDS have pulled themselves ahead. They're the first team to thread 3 rounds in a row, 2 more, and the game is theirs.
LM's revenge coming through there after the top floor was completely cleared out from any BDS member by SSG, by Fultz. He finds 2, drops the diffuser, takes out the heart breach as well, which, I mean, isn't necessary on this side, but it does provide you with a bit more, well, flexibility if you want to open up some of these walls, really make sure there is no way back in without being seen. And now BDS is also leading for the very first time in this game, because they've always been a step behind, even 2 at points. And now they're looking to see, as they go back up to the top floor, they're continuing their rotation because they have won it all, to see if they can put themselves into match point and find a point for this group to start off with.
We cannot deem anything from groups. We cannot deem anything from the first game. We really can't deem anything until we start to see playoffs happen and we get the stretch best of 3s, best of 5s. With all that said, when you have BDS at a major, one of the big concerns is that their big players don't show up. We kind of had the opposite in that we've had them in league play not show up. For an opening day of Alems and Shaiko to combine for this sort of performance, Alems massively stepping up over the past few rounds, Shaiko being the driver the first. That is huge for that roster in terms of their energy coming into this major.
We also have to mention Yeti's kind of dropped off after the first couple of rounds where he's had that, well, tough head-on-head fight with Shaiko almost every single round. He's not picked up any more kills ever since round 4. And that was a driving factor between Space Station Gaming actually winning these rounds as well. So someone else needs to be picking this up right now. And of course, Phil's just had a massive double kill. He's again on that Nuck trying to see if he can open up for Space Station Gaming. But the rest of the lineup also needs to be answering these questions that are being posed by BDS, these challenges that are being tossed up.
Good play there, the Flores drone. It didn't quite throw itself entirely in, so it didn't get caught by the mute jammer and drops the shield. Fultz sneaking his way up the back stairs. He's going to hold and wait. Likefak's trying to do the reverse. That drone, did it catch him?
Should have.
Oh, it didn't! Just tucked underneath the vision of that. Bosco gets dropped. The kick goes cold. Fultz, he's suddenly in a position hoping to catch a rotate round onto the other stairs. There's a drop round onto pillars. That's probably where Shaiko's going to see if he can offer some support here. They're going to double it down. As long as the Nook goes uncontested, he should be able to get this kill. Shaiko has no idea. And there it is. The pickup is Fultz's. You take one of ours, we'll take one right back.
And that's it, right? The Nuck gadget makes you to be so stealthy. You can just sneak around. And with that, another drop, I believe, has come through. The diffuser has been recovered. Alems finds Fultz. So that is the Nuck out of question. Do not need to be worried anymore for someone sneaking out.
And that's it. You can see Likefak, he had dropped all the way down after that Shaiko kill. Now Alems has taken that back. It frees up his route back through to the site. He can come and try and support the players in the final 50 seconds. SSG, once again, a man down. They've been able to clear this pocket of space, and they're going to see if they can try and maybe get a swing round. White wasn't massively contested by them last time. They sort of used it as a bit of a bait and play and try to get the kit down inside the site itself. They were successful, but on the back of pretty much every BDS player still standing. There is a sliver of a fight, and Likefak is the one that's able to win it out. Rampy goes down. 20 seconds. They're just going to try and break their way through onto the site. The first goes down. The second follows quickly. BDS, map point.
From the early kill from Likefak, dropping that diffuser to the Hunt coming in right afterwards. You lost some important operators on the Space Station side, which basically forced them to take the fight through piano, see, and hope for the best in that case, see if you could win out the gunfights. Not the case. Likefak again shutting down the sledge, who was looking for the fight through that wall, through the freezer. And that leaves us with BDS now in charge. Having won 4 rounds in a row, are looking to close it out, looking to find 3 points here against Space Station Gaming. And we mentioned it before, Emmy, this game is so important because these are 2 of the favorites of the group. If BDS takes 3 points here now, that is a game against Space Station they do not need to worry about anymore. That's 3 points on the board that Space Station will not have and will massively favor you down the line for the group stages here.
It's one of those sort of groups as well where people had an idea of who was going to get through, but it was generally one of these 2 names that was the sort of maybe. It was generally one of these 2 names that was the trade-out. A lot of people had W7M putting in a good performance. Fury was under a lot of pressure in this group. There's no 2 ways about it.
They're the massive underdogs.
They're the underdogs. First international sort of performance. You're up against 3 huge teams. It makes sense. But this showdown, BDS versus SSG 1, is gonna be a big tell. A full 3 points here, it could define which of these 2 groups makes it out.
And that is what both these teams know as well, of course. Now, Space Station already used their tactical timeout earlier, do not have the opportunity to call another one in, and that means that they just need to make do with what they have on the board right now.
Look at this lineup in terms of trying to control the roam.
They do not want to be roamed. They do not want to be flanked again. They've had this issue in that last round and the round before. They want to get a hold onto Likefak, and that will most likely be their first task as well. He's up on that top floor. Let's see how we can tame him, how we can get him under control.
Well, Alems is the one that they need to control. He has gone massive on this second half. 13-4, consistently finding revenge and responses for these rounds that have otherwise just been pulled and torn out of the hands of SSG as the spaceship starts to crash right back down to Earth. Fultz, he's hot on the trail of someone that might have slinked and slunk their way down red as Shaiko's able to get one more. There's the cover. It's a trade out. Does find Likefak, but had no idea, or even Likefak finds him. And Bosco finds the revenge there, but did catch Shaiko, I meant to say, on the swing round. BDS is still on the board with these Echo drones. They defined a game against Monty. They often do. The change of pace might come here, though. Minute 20. A body disadvantage, SSG, all to play for.
Still some utility in the pockets, though. Still many of Sledgehammer's left onto the Caber, many of swings he can make to try and, well, relocate the players that are on the side. Hard breach gauges on side of Bosco as well will be creating himself some extra additional angles to hopefully catch off one of these players as well. And finally, we have these two frag grenades that, if they are tossed in correctly, might be evening out the playing field here between these two teams to give Space Station Gaming another opportunity in this game. Now, they know Kojak is clear due to that fragmentation grenade just tossed in. That is one last worry, but they need to find more than that.
They've been able to creep themselves closer and closer to site. That'll give some of the awareness down towards the game that's being played. The crossfire and the angle, they're concerned about the cams. They should be. They're always going to be a problem late on in the round. Brede, he manipulates it. He's getting a taste. He's got that one ready on the drone hold to pop around the plant. Just tucked onto the door. Here comes the cam. It actually moves off. They pull off the plant, and Bosco gets a kill on the back. There's the ping of the drone, but 15 seconds. There's only so long you can sort of play this game. With Brede still on the board, there's the catch. There's the cam tucked onto the corner. They cannot quite get it in. Rampy has to try and move and take the pressure onto the Echo. As long as he's free to sit on this cam, well, there's going to be a second now. It's a 2 versus 1. Just does the work for himself, Yeti. They're able to get the crossfire. Rampy has said he needed to step in. He's able to get a huge kill from it. Suddenly a 2 versus 1. The C4 does not quite connect with the roof itself. They've pulled themselves back. The heart breach is going to be, oh, it's a victim. Bosco. He locks it in there. SSG, a massive clutch out. They need to make it happen. One more for OT.
Well done there. Stayed calm. They knew they had to waste the yokai drone stuns. Did that well after that. The crossfire on point to allow the plant to happen. And that allows them to push back a little bit here. That allows them to push back towards 6-5, where we now find themselves at an opportunity where they can go to OT, where they can pick up a point against BDS. We just mentioned in that last round how important it could be at the end, of course, of the group stages. Now, BDS rerunning it, having faith that if they try this again, they will be successful, or more successful than they were in that last round. Not opting to go for reading, which they have won, not opting to go for the cocktail balcony, which they have won twice. Instead, they want to go for that bottom floor again. Capcan coming out from Likefak as well, hoping to catch off some of these players in the late round, and placing them in prep might actually be working out, but a drone could have heard it. That could have heard that drilling noise coming through. And if that's the case, they will be checking for it, and otherwise drone should spot it out quite quickly.
10 seconds remaining.
BDS. Doubling it down, seeing if they can rotate it back around. The change to the Dockerby, the response to the Echo, how they're going to do it. They don't think the gridlock worked fair enough. But this is a direct line. This is a direct play against that exact hold and that exact strategy. Capcan, for a bit of that range, a bit of that stretch here from Likefak. There was a bullet that followed the punch onto that window. And Alems, he's just going to slip and slink away. As I said, he's been massive on this half. Can he be the determiner?
That's it. But it's not just the Lambs. Like Shaiko also on 13 kills. Likefak just trailing one behind. These three are really the spearhead of BDS here. Whereas it's a lot more even on the side of Space Station Gaming, which is what you prefer to see, of course, because that means if one player gets out of the equation, there's still a good opportunity of you winning it. But Shaiko taking the first onto Yeti, that is going to be crucial. That is that lion gone. Gives you a lot more freedom to move. At least you think so, until you see Jekyll and Dokkaebi still on the board as well. So the roam game, the roam hunt game is still going on for Space Station.
Yeah, the catch there on that loose player before any of them could really properly pop their gadgets. You can see the feet being tracked now, forces one of the players away, but it's an early out the door, and Shiro gets hot on as well, and there's your second, and there's the one that could stop Echo drones as well and make that plant game a little bit more palatable towards the end. The C4 played onto one side of the door. The player pulls away. They heard the beat. They're watching for this exact rotate. Renshiro, he's tucked round. Bosco's hunting on the opposite side. The trail of the feet. Fultz is just out of range, I think, but is wanting to try and catch the fight itself. Does he know about Malusi? No. Alems is able to swing around, puts us into a 5 versus 2. Bosco suffering. You can see that a couple of BDS players have suffered, and the first is off the board now. Rampy gets one. Bosco caught on the camera. Does he know about Capcan? Swinging around inside train, inside this round corner. He seems to have a little lack of an awareness, and that's going to be an easy pickup. The kit is cold. A minute on. Rampy goes big, but he has got to ace clutch.
It's going to be a very tall ask for Rampy here. He has a little amount of verticality to work with. Luckily, still the Caber in pocket, so he can create some extra angles for himself. For BDS, all they need to do is just let the time run out, play this together, play on contact here as well. These grenades get tossed in, will actually clear out those rooms. They know that no one is going to be out there now, but rotations can happen as he's descending down the red stairs. It's Shoko that is holding tight from the wedding door, hoping to go for a swing. There is pinks coming through. There's going to be the Banshee now as well. Shoko is going to be fully aware of the fact
there's an Echo drone.
Oh,
there's an Echo drone watching it as well. We just saw it swing round. Rampy is under all the pressure. 20 seconds. Alems is the full stop on the end, and BDS are able to take the round, take the win. The 3 points, it was close, but as I said, this could turn out to be defining.
It could turn out to be defining. Now, the round differential is not going to be the crucial factor here. It's the 3 points that BDS has been able to pick up against Space Station Gaming. This is exactly how they want to start off their return at the grand stage of the majors. And that's exactly what they did against Space Station, who, again, are by no means out yet. It's only the first game out of 6 they'll play.
Yeah.
Plenty of time to get back into it.
That's entirely it. We're saying this is, we know these are 2 teams that are fighting for second place, if not potentially first, based on performance. W7M are a terrifying force. Fury are an underdog. And there's the back and forth, the conversation. It was 2 big teams, though, and it was always going to be a big game. There's always a second half.
There's always the return game that will be coming up afterwards as well. So Space Station still has the opportunity to go for that revenge. Either way, we are going to a very quick break before we break down this